Hello, this is Mark Van Gelder of SubvertGov. Today I wanted to talk about my experience today, my experience in the last couple of days. Um, I had recently started talking again about Coopface, this time significantly harder than I had done in the past, and once again the mighty virus uh, rears its head and makes everything fucking go crazy on my computer. Um, so long story short, I believe Coopface is this virus that the government created for the purpose of infecting Facebook. Um, and I was tipped off to this by a Department of Justice uh, memo on how to, or it was like a PowerPoint on how to obtain information from social networks. Um, and it talks about Facebook, and one of the things that it mentions is Coopface, which is a malware or a virus. And in uh, this thing, I dug in further and found out that the story of Coopface is very, very fascinating. It's got some really interesting twists and turns. The most important of which is that it took Facebook 4 years, or just a couple of years to actually like dig through the code and find the names of the guys that were actually created the virus. Like they were writing the source code as to which of the operators did what part of the code. Um, the Facebook eventually came out and said, Coopface went through several variants, and then Facebook said it had done an investigation, had found who the hackers were. They released the hackers' names, and I say they cleared the virus. Now, these hackers' names were released back in January of 2012, but these guys still roam free. They haven't moved. They're not in hiding. They're operating in plain sight. So basically, this seems to me to be a ploy by Facebook to say, "Hey, we got rid of the virus," and now, yeah, I you know, yeah, now we got rid of the virus, and so we can say it's all good. These are the guys who did it, and they're going to take care of these guys. And then everybody thinks that the virus is dead, right? The virus had pretty much operated undercover. It was no longer posting for people. It was no longer hacking anything, um, or so we thought. Now apparently the Coopface virus is dead, but I have it on my computer, and it's not actually on the computer. The Coopface virus, I believe, is on Facebook, and it's actually through an application that most people are subscribed to called Get Revealed. Um, I have various reasons why I suspect this in my evidence, particularly when it comes to screenshots, and um, so. Plus, I have a feeling that Facebook is censoring me, considering that I hardly get anybody acknowledging that hardly anybody's acknowledging that they're actually seeing my stuff. So I just wanted to get this message out there. Today I made it home from work. It was about 10 o'clock when I got home, maybe like 10:15. Uh, so on the way home, it's about a half-hour drive. So from 9:30 a.m. until about 10, I was driving home on Interstate 15 from Bountiful. Got onto the 215 up in North Salt Lake. Drove down on the travel down. I noticed between 2100 North and the I-80 interchange, I was being I appeared to have been followed by a white van, and so I sort of got out of the lane that this guy was in, sped up a little bit, and eventually the white van pulled off on the I-80 interchange. And then soon after that, there was another white van that was basically driving alongside me, and uh, and then I guess he was going a little bit too fast, and he ended up passing me, and then kind of hung out there, and then took off. And I was like, well, this guy's sort of, I've been followed already by a white van. So if this is the second white van today, I'm going to follow this thing and find out what its license plate number is. So I got in and I found that its license plate number is a Utah license plate. It's Y916LZ. I It may just be a regular person, but as soon as they recognized that I was following them, because I actually followed them off of the 3500 South interchange or 3500 South exit heading west, and as soon as they saw that I was following them, their driving patterns became, or the person who was driving this, the driving pattern was sort of erratic. Um, kind of like one of the things is that they almost hit a curb and on the side of the road. So I almost hit a curb, and I was like, that's kind of an erratic pattern. So that's what's happened to me today. This Coop face virus is doing some other unusual stuff. Like if I copy and paste something, occasionally it will give it's like a dot colon dot, which if you put the dot colon dot together, it looks like the Illuminati pyramid. It's like, so I copy paste something and it throws that in there, and I have screenshots documenting this as well. Yeah, it's weird shit, man. So that's this. Um, yeah, it's just crazy today. So I take it pretty much now. I take it day by day. I'm not going to slow up on reporting about this, and so I'm sure there's going to come a point at which something's going to happen to me, and I want to make sure that this message is at least out there in case something does happen to me, that this idea won't die. So, yeah, it's messed up. Messed up. And this also, something similar to me happened. Similar to this happened to me back in October, and I was basically running for my life there too. That had some really weird stuff happen on my cell phone. Um, I've got that documented in other videos, but these are fucking scary, man. Like, it's just fucking scary. There are times. There are times that I wonder if it's like really all worth it. But then again, I do believe we are in sort of the end times. I believe that a revolution is brewing. And I believe that there is something that's going to happen that's going to set everything on fire. And when people say that like this prophecy could come true, it really could come. The prophecy of the popes. This prophecy could come true, considering that it's very specific on the events that'll happen, and it has yet to be wrong. And I believe that prophecy can, in fact, happen. I think that, I don't necessarily attribute it to anything religious, but I do believe that some people would have the ability to cross, like, the fourth dimension with their mind and actually see into the future. I believe that's entirely plausible. The human brain is something that's so unique, it basically operates on quantum theory. And using that quantum theory, you can potentially say that you could actually cross the fourth dimension and see into the future or see into the past. You know, and this guy has yet to really be wrong. The only sections that he was wrong turned out to be sections that were altered by some other, like, cardinal or something like that, or some other priest who wanted to promote a cardinal for pope or something like that. But this prophecy of the popes thing is fucking really got me bugged out, you know? Like, and it almost makes me like hopeful, you know? It's like I wish I could be around for, you know, the end times. I wish I could see, you know, what's going to happen when everything's said and done. But basically, the world is coming to an end, in one way or the other, whether it actually be the physical end of the earth or whether it be just the end of an era and the start of a new one. And that's the decision that we as people have to make. I prefer it to be the end of an era and the start of a new one. And the only way to do that is to get the fucking nuclear weapons out of the hands of anybody out there, you know, like including the United States, including Russia. Just, ooh, nuclear weapons are terrible, terrible things. And that will lead to the end of the earth. You know, massive bombing campaigns can destroy, you know, cities and villages. But nuclear weapons can literally cause the extinction of the planet if we let it. So we need to get the nuclear weapons, basically put those options off the table, because I do think a nuclear war is very, very possible. Very possible. And it's really going to be like the people versus the governments, because it's initially probably going to be the governments versus the governments, and then it'll be the people versus the governments. And that's when everything's going to go downhill, is because governments hate to lose their power. So it's just, so this is like my struggle for existence, you know? Like, I'm just struggling, to, you know, like even stay alive, you know? It's different for me. It's like I'm not worried about where to make, you know, my next dollar, or, you know, where I'm gonna, you know, what I'm gonna buy for my kids on Christmas. It's like, how do I physically survive anymore, you know? Because now they're fucking, they're after me again. And all because I have an idea and I'm saying, hey, I think the government might be involved, and there's an easy way to fix that. It's have the government release any files through a Freedom of Information Act request. Any files relating to Coop Face. Unredacted. That'd be a simple fix to this whole situation. But unfortunately, this message isn't something that's really out there yet. You know? It's not a mainstream discussion point. And if it ever does become a mainstream discussion point, that could really offset the balance of the government and offset the power of the government. People are going to be furious about what their government is doing. And that's why my idea must be squashed. So, that's my story. It's terrible. But you can check out my blog, www.subvertgov.com, or my Facebook page, facebook.com/subvertgov. You can see all my reporting and all my screenshots and all my evidence of what's been going on. And that's it. All right. Well, thanks for watching this and keeping, you know, in touch with this. I hope this gets out there before I'm dead. You know, that's what really scares me, is just being dead. You know, the government can, you know, take me off to jail. In fact, I'd almost prefer jail to something that would be coming other than that. And now with the National Defense Authorization Act, they can, you know, by law, physically come and take me away. They, for any reason, they can call it national security, and this isn't a national security issue. It really hurts the security of the nation to know that, to have its citizens know that the people are becoming aware of what they're doing. You know, in terms of national security, that hurts the nation. It doesn't hurt the people, because the people are going to pull through with this. But it hurts the government. That's what it ultimately comes down to, is the government. The government is the nation. And when they say national security, they're talking about the preservation of the government. And they're going to do anything to silence people like me, who are part of, the liberty movement, and who say that, like, hey, government should at the very, very least be scaled way the hell back, right? But for me, I actually come to the position that morally taxation is theft. Morally imprisoning people for nonviolent crimes is basically kidnapping. And so like you come to the conclusion, if you believe in things like universal morality, where theft is always wrong, objectively that should be true. Theft would always be wrong. In which case, taxation is wrong. Not just the taxes are too high, but taxation itself is a moral crime. Moral crime against the people by the so-called government. And government does not even exist. Government exists as an idea. It exists as long as people acknowledge that it exists. As soon as people stop acknowledging its existence, that's when it becomes threatened. You're allowed to keep any opinion except for the one forbidden one, which is that governments are inherently evil, and governments are inherently treasonous against their own people. And for that reason, we are called traitors. We are called people who desire chaos. We are called, just terrible things. Like we're called, like the terrorist. I'm not a terrorist. I'm the kind of person who wants there to be no theft, wants there to be no violence. Anarchists are not terrorists. That's not the way it works. If you have any question about this, just look up the term anarchism in Wikipedia. It'll teach you so much about what you need to know about what this idea is. And it's the idea that is getting suppressed right now. The government has acknowledged that it spies on anarchists just for being anarchists. They have literally made this thought a crime, or a suspected crime, suspected anarchist. When they raided the houses of the of Leah Lynn Plant and Catherine Oleinik and Matt Duran, back in the Northwest anarchists, one of the things that the government was looking for was quote unquote anarchist literature. Anarchist literature is very, very hard to find because the government has done a very, very good job in squashing a lot of it throughout history. So much of it's been lost. But we now exist on the internet as anarchists, and we are converting people towards the idea that government itself is morally corrupt, and we can govern our own selves better than they can govern us. And, like I said, that's the idea that scares the shit out of the establishment. Because people will start to wake up. People will start to realize that, hey, with all this stuff that government's doing, maybe it's not so good. Maybe it's not so good to be flying drones over America just for the sake of it. Maybe it's not so good that, like the United States has now authorized drone strikes in America. This is the land of the 4th and 6th Amendments and the 8th Amendments, like due process, trial by jury of your peers, right from unreasonable search and seizures. It's the most ridiculous thing that's going on right now, and nobody's talking about it. That's a fucking danger right there. fucking danger is that the government is going to take all your rights away. You will have no rights, and they're going to do it slowly, but in this case, I think they're going to do it rather quickly. And it's going to be some major attack or some major disease that all of a sudden the government's going to start declaring national emergency. And that's when the FEMA camps get started up, and that's when the anarchists get rounded up, and that's when the state becomes totalitarian. The government has acknowledged that it will, the U.S. Army manual came out, or was leaked, that showed how political dissidents were going to be re-educated in these FEMA camps. And the Army did not deny its existence. The Army said, concerning re-education camps, the Army said that it was not intended for public consumption or something like that. Like basically said, not denying its existence, but saying that it was not something that people were supposed to know about. That's the ultimate crime, is that the government is doing things behind our backs and they are keeping it extremely secret. And the second American Revolution is coming. It is coming. The question is, when is it going to come? And I hope it comes before it's too late. And I hope it remains nonviolent. But knowing the nature of the state, I am quite assured that it will not be. Thank you.